Hello, lovely listeners. I'm Julia, who will help you relax and fall asleep tonight. What time is it for you right now, and how cozy is your spot tonight? Write it in the comments. Once upon a time, in a kingdom that lay cradled between whispering forests and rolling emerald hills, there was a small cottage on the edge of a magnificent enchanted garden. In that garden, rare and vibrant herbs grew in secret, guarded by ancient spells and tender care. It was said that the magic of the earth was poured into these plants, granting them powers that could heal, transform, or even change the fate of lives. In a modest home lived a couple who had longed for a child. Their dreams stretched like the golden light of dawn, warming every corner of their hearts. The lady, gentle and kind, had spent months tending the little garden and speaking softly to each sprouting leaf, naming them and sharing her hopes. But as fate would have it, their joy was soon shadowed by an impossible desire. The lady, pregnant and radiant, craved one particularly enchanting herb that grew amidst the garden's secret corners, a rare plant that shimmered like jade in the sunlight. Yet the garden belonged not to them, but to a powerful enchantress. Despite the warnings and the mystical aura that surrounded the garden, the lady's yearning grew so strong that she risked everything for just a single taste. With trembling hands, her husband sneaked into the garden under the protective cover of twilight to gather the forbidden herb. In that hallowed night, under a moon that watched silently and kindly, he stole several leaves, the greenest and most luminous, from the enchanted border. The couple used these leaves to create a potion prepared with hope and dreams. Soon after, the lady gave birth to a daughter whose eyes shone like dew on a fresh morning. The newborn was named Rapunzel, a name that evoked both the rare herb and the purity of their love. However, as the seasons turned, there came a mysterious visitor whose presence altered the fate of the little girl. The enchantress, protector of all that was magical in her garden, discovered the theft. Her anger was not cruel, but laced with sorrow. She, too, had long desired the herb to tend her own heart, for beneath her formidable exterior was a loneliness carved by centuries of solitude. Yet, unable to forgive the transgression, she decreed that the child, now innocent and imbued with magical promise, should be taken away. Before the couple could protest, the enchantress arrived like a dark storm over a quiet valley, and in a sorrowful whisper that mingled rebuke with regret, she swept the baby from their arms. The couple, hearts heavy with grief and remorse, could only watch as their beloved daughter vanished into the mists of destiny. The enchantress, whose heart softened little by little in the years that followed, took Rapunzel with her to a secluded tower hidden deep within a labyrinth of ancient trees. The tower soared high into the sky, its walls covered in creeping ivy and secrets older than time. It was here, isolated from the world yet infused with potent magic, that the young girl grew up. The tower held no doors or stairs, only a single narrow window near the top and a tall winding staircase formed by a series of winding carved stone steps that seemed to vanish into the very clouds. As years passed, Rapunzel's long, flowing hair grew to incredible lengths, cascading down the side of the tower like a waterfall of gold. Her hair, soft as spun silk and radiant as sunlight captured in strands, became a symbol of her mysterious beauty and the promise of hope. Tended each day by the enchantress with equal parts love and caution, Rapunzel learned the ancient lore of the land, the secrets of the enchanted herbs, and the wisdom held within the songs of the wind. In the early mornings, Rapunzel would sit by the narrow window and watch watched the world beyond, a world filled with bustling villages, meandering rivers, and distant mountains that shimmered like dreams on the horizon. She listened to the tales whispered by the wind, stories of knights with noble hearts, of hidden treasures deep beneath moss-covered ruins, and of enchanted forests where every stone and bird held a secret story. Though held captive by fate, she nurtured in her soul the brave spark of adventure and a deep yearning to see a life that lay beyond the confining stone walls. Within the tower, her only companion was the enchantress, who alternated between moments of stern instruction and tender care. "Your destiny is woven into these very walls, my dear," the enchantress would say in a voice that was at once both a blessing and a warning. "But you must never forget that every strand of your hair holds the memory of the earth, and every twilight sky mirrors the hope in your heart." The enchantress taught Rapunzel to read ancient scrolls and to name every herb and flower by its magic. She recited bittersweet lullabies, and together they nurtured a fragile bond, a blend of mentor, guardian, and something akin to family. And yet, despite the beauty and learning, a piece of Rapunzel's spirit remained wild and yearning. She would hum softly to herself, dreaming of a world where love was unrestrained and every heart was free to wander. Hidden away above the treetops, far from the touch of sorrow and the cacophony of everyday life, Rapunzel's innocence was both shield and chain. Days melted into nights as she blossomed into a young woman whose clever mind and gentle heart were as radiant as her lengthy tresses. Instead of growing bitter in isolation, she filled her hours with hope and quiet rebellion through subtle acts of creativity. She decorated the tower walls with intricate drawings and scribbled poetry into a leather-bound journal, each word a secret promise to her future self. In every tale, every sketch, and every whispered prayer, she wove dreams of freedom, a life where she could walk among the people, dance in the meadows, and sing with the morning birds without fear. One day, as autumn began to tint the forest with a fiery glow, a curious sound reached her high sanctuary. It was not the familiar chorus of the wind or the rustle of leaves, but an unfamiliar melody, tender and bittersweet. Rapunzel pressed her ear close to the cold stone window and listened intently. The song spoke of distant lands and hidden pathways, of a love that was waiting patiently in a world too busy to notice its beauty. In that moment, her heart stirred with a longing so profound that it nearly brought tears to her eyes. "Who sings in the valley below?" she whispered into the twilight, her voice carrying hope and despair in equal measure. For many months, the song returned with the changing winds. Every dusk, as the golden sun dipped behind the forest, the melody floated upward, wrapping the tower in an embrace of melancholy and wonder. Rapunzel began to count the evenings, each note etched into her memory like a promise from an unseen friend. Even as she learned to harness the secrets of the enchanted herbs and the quiet magic of her own song, the question persisted: who was the mysterious singer whose voice had ensnared her soul? And so, beneath the vault of a star-pierced sky, Rapunzel resolved to seek the source of that enchanting melody. Her heart flamed with the fierce desire of discovery, of seeing the realm beyond her solitary confines, even as the enchantress cautioned her with grave words that echoed like distant thunder. "Not all that glitters is freedom, and not every melody leads to safe harbor." The girl's spirit could not be contained. Deep within, the call of the unknown pulsed like a steady drum, urging her to embrace a destiny written in stardust and hope. The days turned slowly into a cautious farewell as Rapunzel began plotting secret correspondences with the world outside. Each lesson, each whispered tale the wind carried, further ignited her imagination. She spent hours sketching maps of lands she had only heard of, imagining bustling market squares, gentle streams where children laughed, and warm kitchens where families gathered. Every line she drew was a step toward the life she yearned to live, a life unfettered by the rigid expectations of a guarded destiny. It was in those quiet moments that Rapunzel's inner strength shone, a beacon of untamed hope destined to spark the flames of a great adventure. One chilly morning, when the dewdrops clung to every petal and leaf like tiny jewels, she resolved that it was time to break the invisible chains of her confinement. Under the crowning light of a timid sun, she began to prepare for a journey that would forever alter the tapestry of her life. With each folded page of her journal and every carefully hidden drawing, she felt the stirring call of freedom, a freedom fiercely guarded by the enchantress and shadowed by the mysteries of a world beyond her reach. Slowly, with careful planning and secret rehearsals, Rapunzel's days filled with silent preparations. The longing in her heart became a quiet rebellion against the confines of the tower. Every secret glance out the window, every stolen moment spent gazing at the world below, prepared her for the adventure that lay ahead. And although the enchantress's watchful eyes were never far, Rapunzel was determined to follow the call of that far-off song, no matter the risks. In the quiet solitude of each dusk, as the soft twilight deepened and the forest whispered its ancient lullabies, the captive girl resolved that the day of her escape was near. As time wove its slow and inexorable tapestry, the seeds of hope planted in Rapunzel's heart grew into an unyielding determination. With the memory of every tender word the enchantress uttered and every soft caress of the wind, she awaited the moment when the melody would reveal its true source, a sign that destiny had finally come calling. In the cool embrace of a fateful evening, when the sky was brushed with hues of amethyst and rose, a gentle knock echoed against the stone walls of the tower. Rapunzel's heart pounded like a drum of ancient battles as the knock came again, insistent yet soft, as if it carried the echoes of forgotten dreams. The moment stretched endlessly before her as she made her decision. With trembling fingers and a heart filled with both fear and hope, she unfastened the long braid that had grown to be her identity, lowering it carefully out of the window, as was the tradition for secret visitors. The braid, golden and luminescent in the fading light, cascaded down like a shimmering ladder, welcoming her to a world that had long awaited her arrival. Clutching the braid tightly, Rapunzel took a deep breath and stepped forward into a destiny that beckoned, uncertain yet irresistible as the tide of morning light. The gentle call of that mysterious song mingled with the rustle of autumn leaves as Rapunzel descended from her tower. In that moment, every fear melted into a single, resounding truth. Freedom was not only a dream to be cherished, but a reality to be claimed with unwavering heart. And so began her journey, a path woven with magic, sorrow, and the promise of a new beginning, where every step echoed the memories of her past and the brilliance of a future lit by the hope of true love and unbridled freedom. As her feet touched the forest floor for the first time in years, the world seemed both wondrously strange and achingly familiar. The whispers of long-forgotten legends danced among the ancient trees, and shadows of a story older than time writhed playfully on the ground. With a final glance back at the soaring tower, a relic of both captivity and bittersweet affection, Rapunzel pressed onward, her heart bearing the melody of her past, and the promise of an adventure yet unfolding. In the soft glimmer of twilight, as the corridor of nature welcomed her with open arms, Rapunzel encountered the first hints of the life she had long imagined. A gentle stream, laughing over smooth pebbles, guided her path. Its waters sang in voices as clear as crystal and as tender as a whispered secret. Every ripple was a note in an ancient ballad that had been waiting for her to discover its meaning. With cautious steps, she followed the stream along winding paths shrouded with vibrant wildflowers, their delicate petals nodding in silent encouragement. The cool, damp earth beneath her feet carried echoes of countless journeys and whispered promises of hidden wonders waiting just around the bend. It was during one of these gentle wanderings that Rapunzel first saw him, a young man with eyes the color of summer skies and a gentle smile that rivaled the warmth of the midday sun. He stood by the banks of the stream, strumming a softly resonant melody on a wooden lute, his expression one of quiet wonder and melancholic joy. For a suspended heartbeat, the world around them paused as if the very air recognized the sacred moment. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice tender and unburdened by suspicion. Rapunzel, startled yet captivated by his earnest gaze, replied softly, "I am a wanderer, seeking the song of my heart." In that delicate exchange, two lonely souls found in each other the reflection of dreams long suppressed, a discovery that lit a spark of hope, fierce and gentle, bridging past sorrows with the promise of a radiant future. Hand in hand, they ventured into realms where magic danced with everyday life. The murmur of ancient trees, the glisten of dew under the rising sun, and the tender murmur of distant waterfalls served as silent witnesses to their growing affection. And as their paths converged beneath the vaulted heavens, Rapunzel found not only the answer to the mystery of that haunting melody, but also a love that transcended the boundaries of fate and fear. Their days became a tapestry of shared wonder and quiet courage. Together, they navigated through forgotten groves, over mossy stone bridges, and along meandering trails that wound through the heart of the enchanted forest. Each encounter, whether with a mischievous sprite hiding among the ferns, or an old wise owl whose eyes shone with the knowledge of centuries, further deepened their bond and enriched their souls. In whispered conversations, beneath starry skies, and in gentle laughter that echoed across sunlit fields, they discovered that every step forward was a step toward healing, renewal, and the promise of dreams made real. Yet even as their love blossomed under the watchful eyes of nature, echoes from Rapunzel's past stirred quietly in the depths of her heart. The memory of the tower, the restricting care of the enchantress, and the bittersweet cost of freedom all lingered like shadows at twilight. And though these echoes occasionally whispered of past sorrows, they only served to strengthen her resolve to embrace life fully and unashamedly. For in her journey and in her love, she had come to realize that every soul carried both light and darkness, and that the delicate balance of existence was what granted life its profound meaning. Together, the young lovers trekked through hidden valleys and climbed steep hills, with each new horizon unveiling a canvas of possibilities. In the soft presence of nature's majesty, they learned that hope could mend the deepest wounds, and that love was the quiet, resilient force capable of illuminating even the darkest corners of the world. The forest, with its ancient wisdom whispered in every rustle of leaves and every murmur of the wind, became their sanctuary and their guide. Every day, as the sun ascended in a blaze of golden splendor, Rapunzel's memories of the tower and the pain of separation softened like the first rays of dawn, for in the embrace of true freedom and sincere companionship, she discovered a life far richer and more luminous than any tale of captivity could ever have foretold. As twilight surrendered to a soft, velvet night and the first stars blinked into existence, Rapunzel and her beloved settled by a crackling fire beneath the open sky. There, amidst the soothing murmur of nocturnal creatures and the gentle rustle of ancient boughs, they shared whispered promises and tentative dreams. In those fragile, tender hours, the scars of the past were gently healed by the balm of understanding and the promise of a future built on trust, compassion, and the unyielding magic of the human heart. In the sweet lull of that night's embrace, as the world slumbered under a canopy of shimmering lights, Rapunzel realized that every step of her lonely journey had led her to this singular moment of truth. The melody that had once lured her from the confines of a stone tower had now found its echo in the harmonies of a kindred spirit. And as the firelight danced upon their faces, illuminating eyes that had witnessed both sorrow and wonder, she knew without a doubt that the path to true freedom was paved not only with daring escapes, but with the quiet, everlasting courage to love and to dream. In the solace of that intimate night, the lovesick forest cradled their hopes and shielded their whispered vows, and the distant memory of the tower faded into a tender recollection of a past meant to guide, not to bind. Together they gazed into the infinite tapestry of the starlit sky, where every flickering light promised a secret, every dark patch a hidden mystery, and every gentle breeze carried the soft murmurs of a love that would remain eternal. With hearts united and futures intertwined, Rapunzel and her true love vowed to journey onward together, to nurture the magic within their souls, and to carve a destiny filled with endless wonder and luminous dreams. The road ahead was long and veiled in the mists of uncertainty, yet the certainty of their bond shone brighter than any beacon in the darkest night. With love as their compass and hope as their steady guide, they moved forward into a life where every moment was a precious chapter in a story too magnificent to be contained within the strict confines of any tower or any fate predetermined. In that radiant understanding, where freedom and affection danced hand in hand with destiny, they embraced every dawn and every dusk with the unshakable truth that the bravest hearts are those that dare to love and dream unbound. And so, beneath the endless, forgiving sky, and amid the gentle chorus of nature's eternal lullaby, their journey continued. As the first light of morning crept over the horizon, bathing the world in soft gold and delicate promise, Rapunzel and her beloved stepped boldly into a future crafted by their own hands and nurtured by the resilient magic of a love reawakened. Every breath, every heartbeat echoed the triumph of a spirit that had once known only solitude and longing, and now danced in the clear light of renewed possibility. In that perfect harmony between memory and hope, between the echoes of yesterday and the promise of tomorrow, the world smiled upon them in silent benediction. And so, with hearts as light as the gentle breeze that carried the scent of wildflowers and fresh earth, the lovers walked onward, forever entwined in a destiny brighter than any tale ever told. Sweet dreams, good night.